I recently decided to switch from using a QWERTY keyboard to Dvorak. This video will go over my reasoning for why I wanted to, how I did it, and if I feel it was worth it. I never learned how to properly touch type on QWERTY. I would often use an awkward, self-taught method of typing that wasn't hunt and peck, but was still inefficient. I could get by at work as I typed adequately fast enough, but I was starting to experience some hand pain from typing for long periods of time. So I became curious about Dvorak, a faster and more ergonomic alternative. Dvorak emphasizes alternating between hands while typing. It keeps about 70% of keyboard strokes on the home row, and strokes generally move from the edge of the keyboard to the center, as it's easier for hands to go from little finger to index than vice versa. This all minimizes the amount of travel your fingers have to do, and reduces errors and fatigue. Here's an example of people typing the same passage using QWERTY and Dvorak, so you can see how much less movement is required with Dvorak. What was my approach to learning Dvorak? I started on August 1st, 2020, practicing for about half an hour to an hour each day. At first I would do the lessons at typingclub.com, and after the first week in August I could type at about 30 words per minute. By the end of September, I'd hit 60, and by mid-December, I'd topped out at 103 words per minute before I stopped practicing daily. Besides Typing Club, I started incorporating a couple of online typing games into my daily practice as well. My favorites being ZType at zty.pe and NitroType at nitrotype.com. I'll list these and some other fun and useful websites where you can practice typing in the description. After a few months of practicing, I made the switch at work. At first I was much slower than using QWERTY, but over time, forcing myself to use only Dvorak at work probably became the best practice. One thing I noticed while trying to learn Dvorak is how there would be days where I made little or even backwards progress. James Clear refers to this in his book Atomic Habits as the plateau of latent potential, where we must persist long enough in order to break through to a new level of performance. The biggest benefit for me was learning to properly touch type. Using all the fingers helps spread the load and makes typing much faster. I've also noticed I get much less hand pain and cramps in my wrists now, although that may be due to having better typing technique. The biggest drawbacks for me have been that copy and paste with a keyboard is no longer done with just one hand, and it's very difficult whenever I need to go back to using QWERTY since I rarely use it these days. So do I think Dvorak is worth it? Well, it depends. If you already know how to touch type on QWERTY and don't have any hand pain, I wouldn't suggest it, as any potential speed improvements would likely take a long time to materialize. Not only that, but you reach a point of diminishing returns where you don't get much additional benefit from being able to type faster, as we're always limited by the speed of our thoughts. Having said that though, practicing typing is actually a pretty enjoyable experience, and I would recommend spending some time on it regardless of which keyboard layout you choose. You'll probably improve some facet of your typing and be grateful for it in the end.